Alex Kim. I am the Interim Associate General Manager for Development and Grants. And before we get started and before I introduce Nancy, if you have joined us for any of our virtual Producers Club events in the past, you know that we like to start off the event with some fun KPBS and public media trivia. And this time we have some fun trivia questions about Nancy Worlie. And another reason why we do these trivias is because, you know, if you're at your next Zoom gathering or at a dinner or some sort, you know, we want to fill you with some fun KPBS facts that you can share with your friends and family. So with that, we can launch the poll.
Let's do it.
The first question. All right, so the first question is, how many years has Nancy been with KPBS? Is it 5 years, 11 years, 17 years, or 20 years? So again, how many years has Nancy been with KPBS?
Wow.
All right, 50% of you all are saying that she's been at the station for 17 years.
You are all correct.
All right, 17
You know me more than we think.
Okay, the second question. Which Cal State University did Nancy graduate from? Is it San Diego State University, San Francisco State University, Cal State LA, or Fresno State? I was trying to think of the mascots for each one of these schools, and I don't.
Fresno State Bulldogs. That's the only one that came to my mind. Again, everybody's done their homework.
Yeah, SDSU.
I am an Aztec for life.
Aztec for life. Awesome. Okay, the third question. Okay, the third polling question. Nancy is credited with which of the following? Bringing the GI Film Festival to San Diego, responsible for getting rid of the old KPBS logo, leading KPBS to create The Story in 2018, or D, all of the above? And for all of you who have questions or issues with the old logo, you can you can ask Nancy the Q&A part of it. Oh, okay, overwhelming 92% says all of the above.
See, everybody did their homework.
That is correct.
Wow. Better than my children.
All right, the fourth polling question. And if you're joining us, we're just starting off the event with some fun trivia questions, and then we'll get to the program in a few minutes. So the fourth question is, Nancy started her career at KPBS in the blank department in 2003. So this is the last question for y'all. So which department did she start her career at KPBS? Was it news? Was it development, programming, or communications? Oh, that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
All right, this one's a little closer. So 38% says communications, 29% says development. Nancy, what's the correct answer?
Correct answer is the communications department.
Communications, all right.
Yes.
So for all those who participated, feel free to memorize those answers so you can share those with your friends at dinner tonight. Okay, so with that, I think, Val, you have some housekeeping notes for us all?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Valerie Bradley. I am an events coordinator here at KPBS. I have my video turned off so you can't see me, but hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to run through a few housekeeping guidelines, which are also written out in the chat feature for you to reference back to. You should see 3 features at the center bottom of your screen: chat, raise your hand, and Q&A. If you're having technical difficulties or would like to make a comment, please utilize the chat feature. If you need immediate assistance, please use the raise your hand function and we will help you. Please note that you might be directed to Zoom support site depending on the extent of the issue you're experiencing. If you have a question for Nancy, please utilize the Q&A feature. She'll be answering as many questions as possible at the end of the program, but please keep in mind that there are quite a few attendees in this webinar, so we apologize if we can't get to your question this time around. Lastly, please keep in mind that the program and Q&A portion of this webinar are being recorded. I think that's all the housekeeping items, so I'll go ahead and turn everything over to Alex.
Great, thanks, Val. And again, for those of you who are just joining us, I want to welcome you to our first Producers Club event of the new year, 2021. I also want to wish each of you and your families a healthy and a happy new year. My name is Alex Kim. I am the Interim Associate General Manager for Development and Grants at KPBS. And many of you I've met in person, and I wish we could be in person to interact. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I want to welcome you to the Producers Club. And as we begin a new year, a new chapter in our country's history, and even here at KPBS with Nancy Worley's leadership, I wanted to take a moment to thank each of you for your generous support of KPBS at the Producers Club level. Our Producers Club members, each one of you, are such an integral part of fulfilling our mission to our communities. Our news team, the programming we get to watch and listen to, the outreach events that we can do are made possible because of your investment. And now, we're at more than 2,000 Producers Club members, and we're encouraged by the growth of the Producers Club through the years. And a big part of the success is due to our volunteer leadership, our Producers Club committee. And I would like to thank our original Producers Club committee led by Kitty Wolcott, Julie Hatch, Patty Nussbaum, and Kathy Bettles, who I believe are joining us. And if we were in person, they'd stand up and wave hello. So if you're at home, you can stand up and just wave hello anyways. Our current Producers Club committee is now led by Nanda Mehta, along with Annette Chavaria, Renee Dunford, Loretto Garver, and Dennis Michael Broussard. So thank you. And if you wanted to stand up and say hello. And as I previously mentioned, KPBS began a new chapter on January 1st of this year with Nancy Worley as the station's new interim general manager. And in our 60-year history, Nancy is our first female general manager. The trivia question, she is a San Diego State grad, has worked at KPBS for close to 18 years in a variety of roles, which has been instrumental in many of the station's successes and strategic direction, which she'll share with us today. And she recently celebrated a birthday this week.
Oh.
So with that, I will now hand it over to Nancy Worley.
Thanks, Alex. And thank all of you for being here today. I really look forward to a time when I can meet you all in person and see all of you again. But I'm grateful for your support, and I'm excited to be here to share a little bit about myself today and help you get to know me. As most of you know, KPBS was born as KEBS in 1960 as a small radio station on the campus of what was then San Diego City College. 60 years later, KPBS is one of the leading public media stations in the country. There have been 5 general managers of KPBS since its founding, and I am extremely honored to be number 6 and the first female general manager. Before I get into more about me, I do want to recognize my predecessor, Tom Carlo, who I believe is here today with Julie. In his nearly 12 years as general manager of KPBS, the organization grew and just expanded incredibly. We grew to about 180 full-time staff. The news team started at about 15 people and is now close to 50. The audience has grown to more than 1.3 million each week, and operating revenue nearly doubled. The KPBS Producers Club, as Alex said, has also grown from 600 families to now more than 2,000 families. And over the course of 6 decades, we have continued to evolve formats and shifted to meet the needs of the times. As you all know, we came from humble beginnings and stayed the course, always keeping our service to the audience and community paramount. So I want to thank Tom for his devotion to KPBS and taking us higher than we thought possible, and for allowing me to inherit an amazing organization. So now that laser focus has paid off. KPBS is a leader in the nation as one of the first to merge radio and television to rebuild our news operation by breaking down those platform silos. So what better way to celebrate KPBS's 60 years than in the year 2020? How appropriate. But while the world was reeling from a pandemic, The country reached a tipping point on racial justice, and we faced an historic election that feels like it never ended. KPBS rose to that challenge. When parents and kids were sheltering at home in the spring, KPBS reinforced its schedule and tailored it for California students based on those California education standards so that our kids could keep learning. When the coronavirus was discovered in the United States and all citizens needed timely and urgent health information, KPBS News delivered those daily live briefings, updates, and breaking news alerts. When we were all stuck at home, KPBS streamed amazing content to help distract us from the world outside. And when the death of George Floyd sparked a movement and a reckoning right here in our own backyard, as well as across the country, our KPBS News team was there to bear witness. And then when our citizens needed to make informed choices on their ballots amongst record voter turnout, the KPBS voter guide helped to make sense of it all. So here we are now, finally in 2021, a new interim general manager and leadership team. And while this position says interim, there will be a recruitment before the end of the calendar year, and my intention is to remain in this position permanently. While I've only been in this position since January 1st, I have been at KPBS for nearly 18 years, and I am invested in our success and taking this organization forward. So to tell my KPBS story requires me to tell you a little bit about my life outside of KPBS. I was born and raised in San Diego. And as you see here, my affection for Sesame Street and PBS started when I was about 2 years old. You can see the Big Bird birthday cake that my mom made me. I grew up in East County. I attended San Diego State University. After graduation, I worked in Reno, Nevada, Washington, DC, and Las Vegas in communications and news positions. And I knew I always wanted to return to San Diego. It's where my family is. I joined KPBS in 2003 after getting married and spending a little time in Portland, Oregon. But I've basically raised my boys around KPBS. You can see this photo of me and my young kids at a Pig Plus Cat event several years ago. We live in El Cajon with my husband, and both of my boys are active in sports and theater. I also serve on the board of Young Actors Theater here in East County. I started, here's a picture, a recent picture now that shows I'm now the shortest person in the family. So my boys have certainly aged. But I started in the communications department at KPBS. I was communications director for about 10 years. And then I served as associate general manager for content and communications for 5.5 years before being named interim general manager. I worked really closely with Tom Carlo, arm in arm, on all of the major decisions that happened at KPBS over these last 5.5 years. In my associate general manager role, I manage news, programming, public and media relations, events, government relations, human resources, and strategic planning. So a little bit of everything, as we all do in nonprofits. But to give you a little taste of my history at KPBS, I wanted to share some of my memories along the way. So one of my first responsibilities were public relations and the good old On Air magazine. I had a lot of fun writing for that magazine in my early days. In my first year at KPBS, I worked on the local publicity around the Croc gift for KPBS and NPR in the fall of 2003. If you remember that, it was a groundbreaking $200 million gift to NPR and $5 million to KPBS from the late, great Joan Kroc. I also remember a protest in 2005 when Sesame Street decided that Cookie Monster should eat healthier. And San Diegans said, heck no, eat more cookies. So I think that was a weekend project where we came, there were people protesting outside of the station. I have gotten to meet my fair share of celebrities in the public media world, namely Elmo at a One Book event several years ago. And I'm happy to report that Elmo is just as down to earth in person as he is on Sesame Street. I do remember the fires of 2003 and 2007. Both years that I was pregnant, strangely enough. I remember both were really game changers for KPBS when it came to local news coverage. The fires were obviously a tragedy for our community, but it did thrust KPBS first in 2003 as a trusted source of an emergency. People were being evacuated in their cars and they were really relying on our radio station to get the latest news and information. And then in 2007, thanks to a brilliant team member named Len Calo, the fires helped us discover Twitter, which at the time I had never heard of, and also to use Google Maps for fire perimeters and evacuation centers. And that was a first at the time. In fact, there's a Google video on YouTube that talks about what KPBS did using Google Maps that was really unprecedented. But those two digital tools have really changed how we cover news, and it forced us to embrace this multi-platform concept of news coverage, and not just on radio and television, but to really embrace this multi-platform news initiative, converging our newsrooms and covering news on all of those platforms that people were consuming at the time. Then it was around 2005 as communications director where we reinvigorated community events like our Celebrates series. We have food and lectures and screenings featuring talents like Steve Reichlin, the barbecue master, Martin Yan, Jack Bishop from America's Test Kitchen, and I remember Neil deGrasse Tyson coming here, who then I had to drive personally to the airport during Comic-Con. So that was really interesting. My team and I also created the Happy Together for 50 Years campaign in 2010 when KPBS turned 50. It culminated in a 50s or a 60s themed gala, which is shown to you right here with my big groovy hair, which was a lot of fun. I remember the return of Ken Kramer in 2010, who was a true treasure for our community, and we are so grateful to have his library of content on KPBS. In 2014, KPBS made a commitment to connect with our military and veterans and met the GI Film Festival, which was in Washington, D.C. at the time. We brought their film festival to San Diego in 2015, and now I'm happy to report in 2021, KPBS owns the National GI Film Festival here in San Diego. The rebrand of KPBS logo after 27 years was one of my projects to make and create a more digital friendly KPBS logo, much to Tom Carlo's chagrin. We all love the old logo and it was wonderful while it lasted. But I also worked on the story, which laid out a vision for KPBS in 2018. So those are just a few of my memories from my nearly 18 years. It has been an amazing journey so far. And one of the best things about KPBS and why I've stayed here for so long, and I would guess why many of my colleagues have as well, is the people are amazing. Every day is different and we tackle new and unique challenges. And it's a very family-friendly organization. I greatly appreciate that KPBS has put a value on family time for its employees and that work-life balance. And this is especially true during the pandemic when so many of our employees have been working double duty as professionals and caregivers or teachers to their school-aged children. We are getting really used to seeing each other's kids suddenly appear on Zoom screens, and it has really brought us closer together and understanding each other's shared experiences. So back to where we are headed, the future. My vision is to continue to build on KPBS's 60-year legacy of excellent local news, highest quality content, and connection with our community. One of the first projects my team is undertaking, we are currently going through a strategic visioning process to refine the vision and mission that we created for KPBS in 2018. But for now, rest assured that any new vision will not alter KPBS's commitment to public service, and we will always tell the stories of our time. We will continue to serve the San Diego community with the best, most trusted news and information. We will continue to offer the best in arts and culture, science, documentary films, and local content. We will continue to cherish the best drama, especially from Masterpiece. And we will continue to spark dialogue and foster respectful and civil conversations about current events and challenges that we face together as a community. For example, on February 4th, we are hosting an event on the COVID-19 vaccine. KPBS health reporter Taryn Mento will explore the latest developments in the deployment of the COVID-19 vaccine and ask a panel of leading experts about the safety of the vaccine, what new research is underway, and what kinds of records will be kept. Our new vision will help set ambitious goals for KPBS so that we keep evolving and growing and serving our newest and more diverse audiences. And those new audiences are savvy. There are expectations that we must meet for those younger generations, like customization and on-demand delivery, that will be critical to our success. We have already started some of those investments in the back-end technology, but KPBS must become a digital-first media organization that serves audiences with the content they want, when they want it, and where they want it. In order for the station to remain a thriving public media organization, we must plan for the future to ensure that our facility and our staff can meet the challenges in the years ahead. And the key to achieving those goals lies in our new and exciting building. You are more than likely already familiar with the building renovation and expansion project we have underway. We are happy to report that work officially began the day after the November election. We have been raising money and working with campus, a contractor and architect for a few years, and we are excited that this project will transform our facilities to expand our community service and local content for San Diego. This is the new facade. It's exciting to be a showcase at the gateway of San Diego State University. I'll walk you into the lobby. The architectural design really better represents the future of KPBS. It's more natural use of light, and it conveys that feeling of transparency in everything that we do. This will be where our guests will group guests and donors as they come into the building. So it's really an opportunity also to highlight community support through recognition. The community space, it will include a 6,000 square foot community event space. As you all know, in the Producers Club, not only do we love to host screenings, community conversations, and panel discussions about important topics, we love events. And when we come out of this pandemic, we will be needing those in-person events and experiences more than ever. So the timing of this project is strangely perfect. We value those in-person events because it's the best way to get to know all of you, to ascertain what's working, what we can do better, and to meet and engage with diverse communities and gather great story ideas and sources. And it's always the best way for us to say thank you. We'll take you upstairs now to our newsroom. It was getting a little crowded. We may need to spread out a little bit more in the coming years with social distancing. So this expanded space allows us to do that and grow and add staff when the time is right. Here's another view. It's 6,000 square foot of additional space to the Joan and Irwin Jacobs News Center, which will allow for more content technologies and expansion. In our technology area, we need to update our technology and equipment in the core of our building. So we plan to expand and equip our staff with the tools needed to create content on all platforms. A lot of our equipment is aging and out of service, and this project will help us with that transition to what they're calling Next Gen TV or ATSC 3.0, and give us the space to discover new technologies and adapt as things come along. We have no idea what's on the horizon. So looking forward, the building and renovation expansion is not going to be complete until the fall of 2022 at the earliest, but there are many exciting things that are coming up in the short term. For example, on February 10th, we are launching a new podcast called The Parker Edison Project. It's being called a sonic exploration of what's considered American, where each episode starts with a thought-provoking talk and ends with a musical bang. His first episode talks about hoop earrings. Earlier this year, we began another new podcast. San Diego Conversations is a podcast that continues the dialogue from our community conversations between KPBS and the National Conflict Resolution Center, and they're devoted to those educational discussions on issues important to our region. Masterpiece is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, and I hope you're enjoying All Creatures Great and Small, which started on January 10th. And there'll be more excellent programming coming from Masterpiece in its 50th year this year. In February, Henry Louis Gates is presenting The Black Church. This is our story, this is our song. It's a moving 4-hour, 2-part series tracing the 400-year history of Black churches in America. We don't have a broadcast date yet because we're waiting on President Biden's State of the Union address to Congress. So as soon as that gets decided, we'll be able to schedule that. And new episodes of Crossing South and A Growing Passion are also coming our way in April. And we are again partnering with the Old Globe. We just finished a partnership with them where we presented The Grinch on radio for our local audiences. And we are looking forward to a radio-only version of Hamlet coming in April. On the news side, we now have a dedicated team of a reporter and multimedia producer covering North County. And my goal is to extend our coverage into areas like South Bay, East County, and the border. I encourage all of you to sign up for newsletters if you're not already on our list, especially KPBS Arts, the weekly catch up, which comes out every Wednesday and kind of catches you up on what's going on, and the Home Club, which has our best binge-worthy content. And virtual events like this are working, but we still cannot wait to get back to in-person events, hopefully by the end of the year. I want you to mark your calendar in May, where you can sit back at home and enjoy amazing long and short films from the GI Film Festival. These are all films, feature films, documentary films, short films, student films by, for, and about our military and veterans, and it's great content. And then last but certainly not least, One Book, One San Diego. We have another kids virtual author event featuring Cynthia Grady, the author of Write to Me. It will take place in March. And we are already working on nominations for the 2021 selections. Those will be opening in March at kpbs.org One Book. If you've been reading a lot during the pandemic, we want to hear what some of those best books are and work towards nominations. And that will always be announced at the San Diego Union Tribune Festival of Books in August. And of course, the news never ends. We will continue to always be there for you. We've been through a lot in these last 10 months. It's a time period that feels like both the longest and the shortest 10 months at the same time. So this about wraps up the About Me and About KPBS section. I want to allow questions and hear from all of you. I do really wish we could be all together in person. I hope in the coming months we can do that safely. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to getting your questions, put them in the Q&A at the bottom, and thanks for your time. So let's have a conversation. All right, I've got questions here. What is the story? Where can I find out and more about this? From Beth Branning, wink, wink. The story is KPBS's vision and mission. It's what we call our long-term strategic plan, where our vision was to tell the story of our time, and our mission was to tell stories that help us, make us think, help us dream, and keep us connected was our mission. Our mission likely is not going to change, and our strategies are going to stay the same, but we're looking for a more ambitious vision to help push us into the future. Let's see. Please don't let the Crossing South host eat on camera. Okay. I do love Crossing South. When is North County going to get FM reception without using a streaming service? That probably has to do with the hills that you're probably living around, but I can certainly ask our engineering team to look into that. We missed the Saturday, Sunday morning content programs. We don't feel we added. We had fun on many drives to the desert listening to the incredible show hosts. Which programs, I guess, specifically? We felt we did add more news on the weekends. I'll kind of talk a little bit about this. We added more news on the weekends last March when everybody in this community needed information 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So we found that there's a big audience for that content and the news updates on the weekends. So we have continued to offer that, especially on digital and on radio. This old house, I'm not sure when that is coming back, but it is not going away. All right. Many of us have worked from home during COVID. Has the experience caused you to rethink your space requirements or use in any way? Great question, Julia. It will allow us in our new building to space and socially distance each other when that's necessary, and give us more space to grow when we're comfortable doing that. But we still think having events and in-person experiences is really important for us in our new construction. And a lot of this project includes reworking the technology core of our building, because we've kind of replaced things a little bit here, a little bit there. And what we really want to do is do this big, more comprehensive strategic replacement of the equipment and the technology so that it takes us longer into the future. Do I play golf? From Tom. My dad is trying to get me to play golf again. I had played golf before I had kids, and it's been 17 years. So I might have to take up golf again. But I play tennis and I had a knee surgery last year, so I should be out on the tennis court. Let's see. All right, this one's too long. I'm trying to read it. Any other questions? I'm trying to look in the chat in case questions are in there too. Alex, do you see any? Val?
Just Tom Burnett.
Tom Burnett wants to play for the money. I'll have to work on my game a little bit more, Tom. Recurring schedule for our additional stations. It should be on our website. Carrie, if you want to send your question, I'll send you an answer via direct email, but I'm pretty sure they're on our website where the schedules can be found. There's like a printable PDF schedule.
There was one more question, Nancy, from Sonia Harris. She said that she always enjoys Antiques Roadshow. Will that be resuming?
Yes, and we had new episodes that just aired. So usually January is the beginning of the Antiques Roadshow season. And I know there was a new episode 2 weeks ago. So maybe they skipped a week or two, but new episodes should be starting and they should be available. Is Lawrence Welk really truly gone? I don't have an answer to that question, Patty. How to get tickets for Antiques Roadshow. So it's quite a process and it is the most fascinating experience for Antiques Roadshow. They came here a couple years ago at the Hotel Del, and then several years before that, they were at the Convention Center. So they usually announce their upcoming season and they start recording shows in the spring, and then they edit them to air beginning in January. And so when they release the cities that they're going to, they do a ticket raffle, a lottery. They usually give a handful of tickets to the station, but then you kind of put your name in. And then I think they're doing it a little bit differently now. Before, when they were doing it at big giant convention centers, and you would have lines out the door of people waiting to get their stuff appraised. They're making it smaller now. At least that's what they did when they were here at the Hotel Del a couple years ago. So it was a lot fewer people and they had more like broken out stations, but it wasn't like the massive convention center Antiques Roadshow as it was in years past. So I know they were trying that for a couple years. I'm not sure if they'll ever go back to the giant convention center appraisal events, but you have to look on their website for the cities that they're coming to in the next season. I hope that answered your question. My email, there's a general manager's email that you can email me directly, and it's kpbsgeneralmanager@kpbs.org, or you can email me at nworley@kpbs.org. Roundtable, we all miss Roundtable on TV. It is still on radio, but we are working on doing Roundtable in a safe way, which means everybody's in their home. Doing Roundtable in the studio at the table together is not safe given social distancing guidelines. So we have to do it where our host may be at KPBS and everybody else is somewhere else, or the host is at home. So we're working on doing it with Skype. We've been testing it these last 2 weeks, and we hope sometime in early February that Roundtable will be back on TV, but it will look like a Zoom call because we can't have everybody sitting at a table anymore. Is there a way of getting KPBS2 schedule into the newspaper, like the Union Tribune? I will certainly look into that. Any more seasons of Victoria coming? I am not sure about that. I thought there was, but usually those debut in January, and with All Creatures Great and Small, that kind of was the January new masterpiece release. So the challenge with our KPBS2, our kids, and our Create channel is that not everybody gets them. So if you're fortunate enough to get KPBS2, I'm not, because I get my, I use internet. So I go on YouTube TV to get KPBS1. If you have cable, but like AT&T doesn't get KPBS2, and we hear from people all the time that want KPBS2. So putting it in the newspaper will point out that not everybody gets it. So it's a challenge. So I would encourage you to go to our website. That's really the best place. Oh, okay. I see Carol says they gave you time assignments when you come for Antiques Roadshow. Yes, they did that last time, and they didn't used to do that when they did the big convention center events. Saturday movie, want to know more about the specials. We acquire the movies through different content distributors. So that's my content team. John Decker has worked on that for years, and we acquire a lot of those Saturday night movies from content distributors. Oh, thanks for putting my emails in the chat box, Claudine. Any other questions? That was shorter. I either talk faster than Tom Carlo or questions about the building, questions about news. I don't know. There are a lot. Next time I need to have my programming guy here with me so that they can answer all your programming questions. Vienna blood, I'm not sure, but if Val and Claudine can keep track of all these questions on programs, we can send an email out to everybody with the answers. Parking there if we drive down. So for tours, it'll be probably the same situation with parking. We are going to be thrilled to bring people into the new building to give tours. And we do have some designated KPBS parking at our current facility. Any other streaming services like YouTube TV are going to be added for KPBS. We're working with YouTube TV now. There are with Amazon, some of our content is on Amazon, and we're just recently added a Give Now button through Amazon Prime, which literally took place today. So it gives people new ways to give to KPBS when they're watching PBS content on Amazon. There are, I don't know of any other streaming platforms that are going to be added through PBS, but the YouTube TV really came from PBS, and that streams our live coverage, our live station, KPBS 1. The AT&T challenge has been nagging us for a couple of years now. We have tried reaching out to them, but because they are not a true cable television company, they're not required to air us. They're a phone company. So whereas there's a requirement for broadcast companies to air public television, the same doesn't apply for AT&T because they're not technically a television, a broadcast company. They're a phone company. So that's been a huge challenge, and we hear from people all the time about it. We've tried to use our lobbyists in DC to help us negotiate with that and haven't really made any progress. I'm not sure if any changes with the FCC will help us with that at all, but it's certainly one of the things that we hear about all the time, and we're well aware, and we really want to make good with that. How is I guess I can't hear from all of you because I can't hear your voice. I'm hoping everybody's well with staying at home. I hope you're able to watch great content. John, is the world on fire going to be rebroadcast? That was an amazing series. Be great. Good idea. Oh, is John here? Also from John Decker. Oh, see, look in the chat. Vienna Blood will return, air date TBA. Victoria is not dead. Showrunners are working. So I would imagine a lot of the production of new seasons was put on hold last year because of the pandemic. So new seasons of our favorite shows may take a little bit longer to roll out once people can get back to filming and safely do that. So that's makes sense. I'm looking for the notes here if there's anything. Victoria's not dead. Vienna Blood is coming back. Thanks for posting those, guys. It is possible. Okay, Carrie, I just loaded Passport onto my smart TV, but it was through my Google Chromecast. So on my bedroom TV, I wanted to add PBS so I could watch it while my kids were watching sports in the other room. I have a Google Chromecast, which has a better access of apps. And I downloaded it onto Google Chromecast. So that's where I get all my apps to watch TV from. I don't know if you have that, but I got mine at Target and it was super easy to use and set up. And I plug it into the back of my TV and I get all my streaming services, and I added PBS to that. So Passport is enabled that way. And yes, it is hard to navigate, Ruby. Once you get in it, you're good, but getting there is a little bit of a challenge. And if Niru is on this call, she is the miracle worker when it comes to getting into the Passport. Cox Music is not offering us on their music choices anymore, if I'm recalling that correctly. I think they took off all of the music options, and not just KPBS radio, but all of their music stations, like that were rebroadcasting the local radio stations to make probably more bandwidth for other broadcast stations. Direct is owned by AT&T, so that's the same challenge, Montserrat. That's the same challenge, is that they're not required to add the additional channels. So we're well aware, and we really want to fix that. I'm with you. And that's part of the reason why I got rid of my AT&T service. I'm looking in the chat to see if there's anything in there. Or yes, as John Stecker says, antenna. Yeah, antenna is a great option. Go old fashioned. Niru has her email in the chat if you need help getting into Passport. She understands that and is excellent and helped me not too long ago. So anything else? All right. I would sing and dance for you, but I really don't think you want me to do that.
Well, I think this is a good segue to,
Sure.
to thank everyone for being with us. Do want to encourage you, I think in the chat, Niru put, if you're not receiving our Producers Club post, which comes out on a monthly basis, please contact Niru, because that's a great way for us to announce our upcoming events and other information that's happening at KPBS. The next Producers Club event we will be having, it will be on February 24th with Shankar Vedantam, a host of Hidden Brain. So it'll be a great chance to meet him virtually and then ask him some questions. And then the following month, on March 25th, we will be hosting an event with Lisa Desjardins. I'm probably butchering her last name, from the PBS NewsHour. And so she graciously agreed to join us for an event in March. So
Lisa is, for all of you NewsHour junkies, Lisa was the one who was at the Capitol on January 6th, who was videotaping from behind the wall inside the, I don't remember if she's on the Senate or the House side, but she's amazing. It's Lisa Desjardins. So NewsHour junkies will know exactly who Alex is talking about.
Yeah. So again, thank you for attending. And if you have any questions, you can ask them to Niru or myself or to Nancy. So have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. I look forward to seeing you in person soon.